Surgeons in India are in the early stages of a 40-hour operation to separate a 2-year-old girl from the remains of her partially formed Siamese twin. They've already separated the fused spines, and doctors say Lakshmi Tatma is responding well. The toddler was born with 4 arms and 4 legs. Without surgery, it's unlikely she'll survive into adolescence. Sky's health correspondent Thomas Moore explains.
Without surgery, Lakshmi Tatma would almost certainly have died. She was born with 8 limbs, fused at the pelvis to a headless twin who failed to develop properly in the womb. Doctors in Bangalore say the 2-year-old was no longer able to nourish 2 growing bodies, and they had to separate her from the parasitic twin.
Unfortunately, we do not have a choice of waiting for the child to grow older. The problems will become even more difficult to solve as the child grows older.
During the 40-hour operation, neurosurgeons will have to separate Lakshmi's spine from the spinal cord of her twin. Cutting the wrong nerves could leave her paralyzed. Other specialists will move her genital system and bladder from the left side of her body to their normal position. They'll also transplant a healthy kidney from the parasitic twin to replace one of Lakshmi's, which has failed. Orthopedic surgeons will then close the pelvic bones to realign her legs. Plastic surgeons hope to give Lakshmi as normal an appearance as possible. British specialists say the operation is complex.
If the legs work and the nerves to the legs are okay, then the chances are the child will walk just as normal. If the pelvic organs are in order, the bladder is in order and such like, then the child may well be continent. So the future for this child is likely to be pretty reasonable.
Lakshmi was named after the 4-armed Hindu goddess of wealth. Doctors found her in a village in northern India, suffering from an infected sore and a fever. The operation is being paid for by a hospital foundation.
Everybody considers her a goddess at our village. All this expenditure has happened to make her normal.
A team of 36 doctors will work in shifts to separate the twins. There's a 25% chance that Lakshmi will die, but surgeons say the early stages of the operation have gone very well. Thomas Moore, Sky News.
Born with 4 arms and 4 legs, Lakshmi Tatma would have little prospect of surviving into adulthood, but doctors have now started what's expected to be 40 hours of complex surgery to separate the 2-year-old from her parasitic twin and give her a normal life. The headless body of her sibling failed to develop normally, and the 2 became fused inside their mother's womb. Surgeons in Bangalore warn that there's a 25% chance of Lakshmi dying, but they have no choice but to operate.
Unfortunately, we do not have a choice of waiting for the child to grow older. The problems will become even more difficult to solve as the child grows older. As it is, the child's nourishment is becoming a problem. And it's difficult for this child to nourish this parasite, which is pretty huge, as you could see.
At a briefing for medical staff, surgeons described the operation's likely complications. Lakshmi's 2 spines have merged. She has 4 kidneys, 2 stomachs, and a mass of entangled nerves. All will need to be separated by the team of 36 doctors. Lakshmi was named after the 4-armed Hindu goddess of wealth. Doctors found her in a village in northern India, suffering from an infected sore and a fever. Her parents were too poor to pay for medical care.
Everybody considers her a goddess at our village. All this expenditure has happened to make her normal. So far, everything is fine.
There have been just a dozen attempts worldwide to separate a child from a parasitic twin. Even if Lakshmi survives surgery, she'll need long-term physiotherapy to allow her to walk. Thomas Moore, Sky News.
Joining us now on the phone from there is the doctor who led the operation, orthopaedic surgeon Dr. Sharon Patil. Dr. Patil, thanks indeed for joining us, and congratulations. You must be so relieved.
Thank you very much. We are a very relieved team here.
How is Lakshmi?
Lakshmi is very stable, doing very well. She's on a ventilator in the intensive care unit at the moment.
So how long is it before you can assess that everything has gone as well as you seem to have think it is now?
Her biochemical parameters seems to be stabilizing quite well. I think it will be next 24 to 48 hours before we think of taking her off the ventilator.
I mean, this was a marathon operation. Can you take us through some of the complexities of it? What were the most challenging issues?
Yeah, this young girl, 2 years old, came down to our hospital almost a month ago. And since we have been building a general condition and planning our surgery, we almost, a team of 5